Yeah, welcome everyone, and welcome Jay. Thank you so much for joining us this
Oh,
week.
what a pleasure. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I've heard a lot about you. Spaces, your co-working space is extremely popular. Everyone's talking about it.
Ooh.
So, Toronto DAO is like a tech community, and I just want to thank you on behalf of Toronto DAO for doing your part in growing the tech community here in Toronto.
There's definitely a lot of talent in the city, and here we are all sitting at our desks, likely at home all week. Maybe we have some connections to people on Telegram and Discord, but I think a lot of us don't know what everybody else is doing. So thanks to my partners, Natty and Mike and Adam, and the good people at ChainSafe, we're able to do this weekly co-working at Spadina and Dundas there. It's very nice.
Yeah, it's not just like the fact some people they need the office space, but I've talked to some people who've just been like, no, I've been able to showcase my app to people and they've given me feedback and I've
Yeah.
like able to work from that. So it's really providing like it's contributing in ways I didn't think a co-working space contributed like that. So it's awesome.
I think the more we get sucked into the internet here, I think the more we value in-person interactions. It's much higher bandwidth, right? Like if we talk over Telegram, basically we're talking as fast as our fingers can move. In person, though, there's so much more information we're getting. Ideas can flow a lot easier. The in-person space is the future.
Well, I remember during COVID, like I think I
Yeah.
attended one Bitcoin space and I was like, this sucks. I just like literally for like a 2-year gap, I didn't attend any virtual space whatsoever.
Right.
After
Yeah.
other than the first one when I was not happy.
COVID wrecked us for sure. Yeah. But we're coming
Yeah.
back.
Oh, definitely. So yeah, I guess why don't you just tell me a bit about yourself and what led you to be a community leader in the Polkadot ecosystem?
Well, sure thing. Yeah. I'm the director of a media organization called The Coos. And what the Coos is here for is to keep everybody around the world who's contributing to Polkadot on the same page. You can think of us as a local newspaper in a global way. Basically, because Polkadot doesn't have this top-down foundation that's calling all the shots, but it is a very decentralized organism. A lot of people come to the Coos and come to the stages that we manage. We're talking in-person podcasts, multiple live shows a week, news shows, people come to the Coos to find out what's going on and to hear from other leaders in the space so that they can align and coordinate. Because while Polkadot is super decentralized, we are also very coordinated, and that's thanks to some projects like the Coos.
Can you elaborate on that second part, like how you're decentralized and coordinated? Because that's something here at Toronto DAO ourselves. We, DAO decentralized is in the DAO part.
Mhm.
But sometimes I feel like decentralization can kind of get in the way of coordination. So
That's
how do
right.
you manage to achieve that sort of perfect harmony?
It's definitely not a perfect harmony. That's for sure. There's trade-offs to decentralization, and when we talk about the ideal of decentralization, we have to establish the value. The value of decentralization is resilience, right? So a central point, any central point, if it's an organization or a piece of a pipeline in an organization or a political party or anything like this, any centralized point has the potential for corruption. And that could make or break an entire project. There's a lot of projects in the Web3 space, in the crypto space, that really it's held together by a few people. And some of these projects move billions and billions of dollars. I mean, if you look at all of the bridge hacks that we've had over the years, those really come down to centralized points. Maybe it's a multi-sig or some sort of mechanism. That centralized point, if it becomes corrupted, then the whole system fails. So decentralization is really that bid for resilience. And I think the perfect harmony that you want to aim for is you want to have global decentralization that you can always collapse into. But on top of that global decentralization, you want local centralization with narrow scope and defined outcomes that you're looking for. So with Polkadot, we've really nicely established this global decentralization, and we actually have a very interesting governance mechanism to manage public funds. But on top of that global decentralization, we do have centralized groups, such as the Coos, such as the media organization, the Coos, that serves a very specific and intentional purpose. But if the Coos were to collapse, for instance, Polkadot doesn't collapse, right? Polkadot can be supported by this distribution of responsibility across everybody who holds the dot token. And there is a foundation that launched the dot token, but if that foundation were to fail, Polkadot would still continue to produce blocks. Same with the main technical contributors, an organization called Parity. So that global decentralization as a layer of resilience to keep the project alive despite the trend toward corruption of any central point.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point with like Polkadot, and I think a lot of these, even a lot of these blockchains would still be around if you know, God forbid something were to happen to the organizations that run them. But yeah, there's always a delicate balance. For example, the very first Toronto DAO like meetup, or I don't know if it was a call it a meetup, it was online, and it was just like 30 people in the ecosystem talking
Mm.
over each other, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And we got nothing out of that.
Right.
Uh, nothing. And so like we have a few volunteers, we have the core team that helps control Toronto DAO.
Hmm.
So we kind of moved away from that centralized aspect, but I feel like it was a necessary evil, and hopefully we can bring some decentralized aspects back to it.
Yeah, basically you want decentralized aspects wherever there's a potential for corruption. So wherever we're trusting people, we want to have some sort of mechanism underneath that uh, distributes the responsibility of the maintenance of that piece of the organization. So that's really important for resilience. If resilience is the goal, and it definitely isn't always the goal.
And so like what draws you to Polkadot versus other blockchains?
Well, Polkadot's very fertile ground for people who want to contribute, people who want to create work. And there's a lot of opportunities for people who want to build the whole organism of Polkadot. Personally, I got involved. It was during COVID. You brought that up. So COVID, I was sitting at home, and YouTube started sending me videos about Bitcoin, which is the first time I ever really touched base with it. And I got pretty deep, and I did the DeFi summer during COVID there, and that was very exciting. I did the yams and all that and won a lot of money, lost went back to basically where I started. But I was pretty hooked on the whole concept of creating a parallel system where we don't have to rely on central pillars so much in this sort of corruption that we're under. I was really feeling that during COVID as well, sort of these top-down mandates were really grinding against my spirit. So I think I really identified with the whole Web3 vision there. And looking around for a place where I might be able to contribute, I came across this fellow Gavin Wood, who's one of the founders of Ethereum. He's the guy who took Vitalik's vision and actually implemented it with the yellow paper. And I was totally fascinated with this man and everything he was doing. Found out that he had left Ethereum to build Polkadot, and he was trying to figure out this sharding idea, how to scale blockchains by putting it into different isolated shards. And so what I started to do at the time, because Polkadot was very difficult to use and they were about to launch their first product, which nowadays we call rollups, I started to contribute tutorials on how to use the interface, which is really a developer interface, but it was the only way to interact with the chain. And so I started a show called Polkadot Kusama What the FAQ, and I made a bunch of videos of how to use the network with the very rudimentary tools. And that caught the attention of people who were already in the ecosystem. And from the big Polkadot treasury, they started to pitch me little tips, $40 here, sometimes $400.
Whoa.
That really got me hooked. And so I did 100 videos, tutorials, and news. And I was eventually convinced to make something we call a spend proposal, which is asking for money up front. So I got a $30,000 grant and I hired my first editor. And that was the beginning of the Coos. Now we're a couple thousand videos in and one of the central points of information exchange in the ecosystem.
Couple thousand?
Yeah.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, thanks. No, we have a really big team, a global team behind the Coos. I think there's 17 or 18 people who touch the content now. Some, very little touch, and some main contributors. But really, we're trying to maintain stages for anybody who's building the Polkadot ecosystem to come up and share their vision, recruit talent, align with other people who are building. And yeah, it's kind of like the local newspaper or the town square. Polkadot is what we strive to be.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you need a good team. I mean, even to just do like what we do, the weekly spaces, we need a few people to control with that. So,
Yeah.
and that's not videos, so that's impressive.
Oh yeah, very competent team. Yeah, so we do an in-person podcast every Sunday. That's called the Space Monkeys podcast. And those are filmed on location. We travel about once a month to different conferences to gather these interviews. And we're on episode 207 of that. And then every week we have a news roundup. So that's every Friday. Through the week, we have 6 or 7 pieces of news content on top of that. And then Monday and Thursdays, we have live shows dedicated to the whole challenge of governing the Polkadot ecosystem through this mechanism called OpenGov, where every DOT token holder has the ability to propose how to spend the treasury, to propose how to upgrade the network, and then everybody with the DOT token can vote on those proposals. And that's really what directs the entire Polkadot network today.
Do you have a favorite conference you've been to?
Yeah, my favorite events that I've been going to this year is from a group called Web0. And they actually had an event in Toronto that maybe you went to. It was called the Block Space, and it was there on Queen Street around Queen and University. And it was two floors. It was a 3 day space, and wherever they set up a block space, this really becomes like a central point. They'll set up a block space near a big conference, and people from all kinds of ecosystems come through the block space throughout the day. It's really kind of like the home base in every city that they land in. So the Coos has been working closely with Web Zero and super, super impressed with their events execution. And after they came to Toronto, really felt a tangible bump in the enthusiasm and the community around the Web3 space for sure.
Not only do I know them, I am currently wearing their sweatpants that they
You're
gave out.
kidding. Which ones? The black with the green?
Yeah, the black with the green. It says Polkadot X
Yeah.
Zero.
Oh, dude, their merch is so good.
They're actually really nice sweatpants. They're probably the favorite merch that I got from the whole consensus week.
Oh my God, dudes. Yes, we have those in the house. Another one we have that my girlfriend always wears is a kimono. So it's a block space kimono, polka dot and block. It's so sweet.
Ooh, yes. I mean, sometimes you get some really lousy shirts at these things,
Oh yeah.
but no, these are amazing.
Yeah. Web Zero is awesome. So they're right now working on just talking with them this morning, a big conference in Buenos Aires in
Ooh,
November. And
yeah,
it
because
is
that's
a
where DevCon is.
Yep, right before DevCon, 3 day conference, just like all their events, free, all the food provided. They're gonna have some big speakers there, and it's put up in this photo studio, this warehouse photo studio, where every room is like a different vibe. So I think they're setting up like a beach in one room, another room is like a pool. It's gonna be so amazing. So yeah, that's gonna be a good time.
Buenos Aires is where I heard actually Gavin would give a talk.
No way. What was the talk?
To be honest, it was a bit over my head. It was super technical,
Jam
which
talk.
in his defense, they were very upfront that this was going to be a very technical talk.
Yep.
Um, and it was in this. I don't know if you ever been to Buenos Aires before.
Yes, I have. Yeah, a few years
Okay.
ago.
Do you know the law building?
No, not sure.
It's this like beautiful law like building. It kind of looks like it would be a governor building with
Hmm.
these giant steps that like Rocky style steps that go up to it.
Yeah.
And he talked there,
Mhm,
and it was kind of cool how they set it up because he doesn't speak Spanish.
mhm.
So they had a simultaneous Zoom call and audio only, and people they just had a translator translate what he was saying, and people were listening through headphones the translation.
That's so cool. So Gavin was there talking about the jam, the joint accumulate machine, and
I
it was
believe so.
yeah, pretty early in his world tour talking about this idea. Big, big idea, fascinating stuff, but yeah, super technical and yeah, really interesting development with the joint accumulate machine. This is going to be basically it's going to go underneath Polkadot. Polkadot is going to run on top of the jam, and that's going to unlock some really amazing abilities for blockchains. Not only Polkadot, but really any blockchain that would like to sit on top of the jam.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping that I could go to DevCon, but
Yes,
now that you bring up the Web Zero thing, if I do go, I'm obviously gonna go a few days earlier, right?
you got to come earlier. It's going to be so cool.
It's kind of like they're Argentina right now, I would argue, is one of the biggest crypto ecosystems in the world
Yeah.
because of complete necessity.
Yep.
They say necessity is the root of all change. For those who don't know, their peso is worthless, quite literally. I lived there for a year in 2019,
Wow.
and one US dollar got you 32 pesos. A year later, one US dollar got you 120 pesos.
Yeah.
And then when I went back last year, 1,000 pesos. So 5 years, it went from 32 to 1,000. And now it's about 1,300 pesos per US dollar.
So
So
when I was there a few years ago, and it's also good to let people know that there's two types of pesos, right? There's the pesos you get in the bank, and then there's the blue pesos you get on the street.
very good.
And
Yeah,
the way that I was able to acquire pesos was I sent USDT to somebody said I could trust, and then about an hour later, somebody appeared on a motorbike with a fat envelope of pesos.
that's
And
fine.
I don't remember the rates or anything, but I know that when I did it again at the end of the trip, about 10 days later,
You got more.
the slip had been like 30% or something like that. It was nuts. So, yeah, it's definitely a result of necessity down there. And yeah, South America actually is I think a lot of places in South America are feeling the same need for a new system.
Yeah, and for the record, next time you can just go to Florida Street and
Uh-huh.
those people that just go cambio, 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 cambio. You can go up to one of them and you could say tether. Make sure it's on the Tron network.
Yeah.
Not worth of a conversation. This is what they've chosen.
Yeah.
Um, you say it's on have it on the Tron network, and either he will be able to do it or he will walk you to a person who will be able to do it because they all work together.
Yeah. Pro tip.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, be sure to check that out. So thank you for all that. And I encourage everybody who plans on going to DevCon. The Web Zero party in Toronto was awesome. Um, so I encourage you, if you haven't bought your ticket yet, maybe go a few days earlier if you can afford it. Oh yeah, we got sidetracked there, but that was awesome. So like how did this co-working space came to be? Like what made you want to start this?
Well, like I said, Polkadot is very fertile ground for people who want to contribute. And this treasury that I've sort of mentioned before, with 130 million or something like this, it's divided into a bunch of sub-treasuries with different mandates, okay? So we have this big decentralized treasury that we can always fall back into, but then we voted to cut off little pieces and give it to a small council of people with a specific mission, maybe marketing, maybe events, something like that. One of these sub-treasuries is called the Meetups Bounty. And what they're there to do is to support the establishment of in-person meetups around the world. And so when we saw this opportunity, my friends and I, who I mentioned earlier, we thought, well, we could just do this in Toronto. They have a budget of a few $100s per event, and all we have to do is get people together, talk about Polkadot, onboard people into the wallet or something like that, and basically just get people together. And so that's what we've been doing. I think we've done 20 something meetups in total. We started with kind of meetups at bars, but then, there was more and more people having tech conversations that were a little inappropriate for noisy places. So we expanded to do these co-working spaces, managed to get a hold of our friends at ChainSafe, and they've been providing a beautiful space for us. And yeah, I mean, more and more people are joining every week. I don't know how many unique people we've had in there. It's probably over 100 at maybe 120 or maybe 150. I'm not sure. But yeah, we get people together, and we're just going to keep growing it because, like we were talking at the beginning of the call here, there really is that need for in-person contact. So we're happy to provide it, and Polkadot is happy to sponsor these sort of meetups and events.
Yeah, that's incredible. I myself am very guilty of like being a hermit, and I need to stop doing
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Especially now, because like I do freelance work, but the work I do, I kind of have to have my headphones on and not talk to anybody.
Yeah.
But now I'm working on something that's not, no one talk to me, so I should definitely go to these co-working spaces.
Well, in these spaces, there's multiple rooms. There's even like a totally private room if you need to have meetings and things like that. So we actually have everybody covered. And then we supply lunch. We
Oh,
have we have a little knowledge share after lunch. Maybe we'll have somebody who's building something come in and share with everybody for a half hour or so. It's pretty cool.
yeah. So like, the reason actually I was in Argentina and
Hmm.
talked and listened to that Gavin Wood speech was there was a Web3 co-working space for about 6 weeks uh, in Buenos Aires, and it was really cool. They had workshops, they had sort of brainstorming sessions, they had a couple hackathons going on simultaneously. They had like a showcase where people could showcase what they were working on. Every Friday there was like, I think by about 4 o'clock they brought out the beers and people were just like chilling and having a beer.
Yeah.
There was the asados and tons for like first 2 weeks. It was just nonstop events, and Argentina is much cheaper, right? So
Yeah.
they could afford to do these things down there. But it was a fantastic time. So yeah, these co-working spaces are awesome.
And it's a little bit early to talk about it, but it sounds like we're going to be able to expand this initiative at ChainSafe. So ChainSafe is such a beautiful space, and they definitely want to put it to better use and get more people in it. So we're going to keep going with these weekly meetups on Wednesdays, but sounds like there's an opportunity to get something even more constant going on and providing this space for people even more often. So definitely stay tuned to that for that.
Oh, awesome, awesome. See, you come to these spaces and you get some insider tips.
There you go.
Um, I guess this is kind of, I don't know if this question is appropriate or not because I feel like I'm asking a parent if they have a favorite child.
Okay.
Uh, but are there any projects that you're like personally keeping an eye on that you
Oh
think
my
at the space
goodness.
that you think is really cool?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of great projects to share with you today. So, just so everybody knows that right now, the Polkadot ecosystem structure is like a hub and roll-up spokes, right? So we have the main Polkadot chain that's validating all these roll-ups. A little different than Ethereum roll-ups that have all their own infrastructure and their own bridges in between them. If you're a roll-up on Polkadot, you actually inherit the security of the main Polkadot chain, and you're able to communicate with other rollups within a block. So all these rollups that I'm going to mention are actually connected, or they can be connected in various ways. But a few absolute highlights right now. One rollup is called Mythos, and this is by a group called Mythical Games. And Mythical Games is a AAA gaming mobile gaming company with incredible IP. They came out with their NFL branded game a few years ago. This has had 7 million downloads on the app stores and Google Play stores. Just last month, they came out with their FIFA branded game, and that has been a massive hit as well. And I think it's today, if not tomorrow, Pudgy Penguins game is also launching on the Mythos rollup on Polkadot. And so this is incredible IP and millions of players, and all these players are not in the crypto Twitter bubble. They're not coming to crypto events. This is the global audience. They don't know that they're using Polkadot, but their experience is being made a lot better because of the underlying infrastructure. And Mythos is on Polkadot because of this massive throughput they need across all these games. And that's what they're building there. So Mythical Games on the Mythos rollup on Polkadot is one of the top projects right now that I'm watching.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's really cool when you get these sort of unexpected like FIFA, NFL stuff. Those
Yeah.
aren't your traditional Web3 players.
No, not at all, not at all. But the retention from having asset ownership and also the ability, like 'cause you think about a game like FIFA, right? You have fans of FIFA all over the world and in places where maybe people don't have access to credit cards like maybe we do over here. However, somebody in a country that's a little more unbanked can play the same game that we can play over here, and the underlying blockchain infrastructure allows them to trade with a whole global marketplace, and they can level up their game without ever really needing to put new funds into the game. So it's a totally accessible experience and locks people in with the ownership and ease of moving their assets around in the global marketplace. It's very, very cool.
Well, it's like you've heard the rumor of how Ethereum came to be, right?
Hit me.
So basically, Vitalik apparently got banned from World of Warcraft. I don't
Oh.
know why. And he was just like, all my stuff just gone. And he's like, that's my stuff.
Mm,
That's not like, yeah, it's like World of Warcraft's IP, but all this, his weapons, and I don't know the game, but gold and whatnot, that's his. And so he wanted a system where you could own the stuff that's
mhm,
your stuff. And so I feel like what you're telling me is sort of like the vision of what Vitalik wanted,
mhm.
even though we're talking about the Polkadot ecosystem.
Well, look, I mean, Vitalik, to his credit, he totally got it. But there are other challenges that Ethereum has faced, with scalability, for instance, that we've been able to evolve from, and we can do, not just something simple like CryptoKitties, but we can actually have multiple global games happening at the same time without increasing fees or creating a degraded experience for any of the players or anybody else on the network. And we can do it all in a resilient way that's not controlled by any central group that can steal people's assets should they shut down the game or decide that they've misbehaved and need to be kicked out. It's a really amazing time that we're in.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So other than that, like you've also mentioned that you're talking to expand the co-working space, but are there any other events that you have planned in the future?
Besides what we've talked about, no, but can I tell you about another cool roll up?
Of course.
Okay, okay. This one is so cool. This is called Mandala. Mandala, and I went there last year to check it out myself, but they're a group that has been talking with the Indonesian government. Indonesia, this is very surprising to a lot of people, but they have the fourth largest population on the planet, 284 million people. And the story of Indonesia is very interesting because it's actually thousands of islands that have come together under a common flag, under the Indonesian flag. But every single island has their own way of doing business, has their own banking system, has their own infrastructure. Um, I mean, has their own language. The religion diversity in Indonesia is wild. I think Indonesia, one of Indonesia's islands, has the largest Muslim population on the planet, but they have one of the largest Buddhist populations as well, I believe. It's a wild, wild place. And the government is really like hell bent on blockchain. They think blockchain is the solution to lift the entire nation up. So this group, the Mandala project, has been working closely with the Indonesian government, and they're just about to go to mainnet, which is going to include ID for the citizens. It's going to include regional banking services, infrastructure for government, and IP and other use cases that are in development right now. This is all going to be a roll up on Polkadot as well.
Ooh, that's huge.
Yeah. So anybody who wants to interact with government services or interact with a bank or something like that, they're going to get a DID, and then they're going to be basically they're going to have an account and access to this national roll up that happens to be hosted on Polkadot. It's pretty cool stuff.
I don't know if you guys are paying attention or writing this down, but I certainly am. I have it on my notebook right here.
Yeah, nice. So this is just two examples of pretty amazing, super high scale things that are being built on Polkadot. Really for like that whole Web3 addressable market, instead of just this kind of relatively small crypto Twitter group that we're usually focused on. We have billions of people out there that need to be served. So that's what we're building. That's the scale we're building for here.
Well, yeah, I don't know if this number that's being thrown around is true, but I keep hearing like half the population in the world is unbanked.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Sounds right.
Yeah.
That's a lot of potential energy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of decision makers there who aren't contributing to the market.
So this next question, I admit I'm sort of using it for my own personal gain.
Go for it.
I have been having trouble for this for a long time, and
Oh,
so I am a holder of Polkadot.
nice.
They are just sitting there though, not being staked because every time I stake, it just doesn't work out. So how can you
What?
stake your Polkadot?
When was the last time you tried?
I don't know, maybe a year ago.
And what wallet are you using to hold your Polkadot?
Ledger.
You have them in a Ledger wallet.
Yeah.
Ah, great. Okay. So look, are you on your mobile phone right now?
It's kind of being used to host the space.
Okay. Well, you have a notepad, right?
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is write down Nova, Nova wallet. Okay.
Okay.
And you can bring in your your account into Nova Wallet there
Hmm.
and have it all confirmed on your ledger. But once you download Nova Wallet, there's a tab at the bottom and you can stake and you're going to have absolutely no problem staking.
Awesome. All right.
Yep.
Simple enough.
There you go. If you prefer desktop, the recommendation is a wallet called Talisman. Talisman is a beautiful wallet, and it's a great alternative to even MetaMask because it handles the whole EVM situation as well. But again, there's one button in there. You click it, and then you're staked, and you're good to go.
Yeah, actually, I don't really have any crypto wallet stuff on my phone.
Yeah, fair enough. But if you have it on your ledger and it's a Bluetooth-enabled ledger, then you can use that to sign. So you're,
True.
kind of protected from that extra risk that some people feel with the mobile situation.
That's true. That's true. No, I have an old phone and they're
Mhm.
like $2,000 for a new phone, and I've run out of space and all that stuff.
Okay, okay. Well, try downloading Nova Wallet, and that's going to make your whole Polkadot experience super rich. Because you can also, there's a tab there you can start voting in OpenGov. Because once you stake your tokens, they're already locked for a few weeks, right? So you might as well use those to vote and determine the outcome of the network as well. It's all super easy in there.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Thank you. This is one of the benefits of being the host of a space is that I get to answer
Yeah,
the questions.
I feel you. I do the same thing. Just following my own curiosities.
So now you guys had to listen to this tutorial that I asked for.
No, it's a handy tutorial. I mean, Nova is a
It is.
super powerful tool, so it's definitely a great one to have on your phone.
Yes, it is. And I hope everyone else got to benefit from this as well. And if they're stuck like me. So yeah, this has been great. You mentioned a lot of stuff that I wasn't expecting, and it makes me want to go back to Buenos Aires even more.
Yeah,
Um, Even if you don't go for crypto stuff, it's an amazing city. So I
no
highly
doubt. Yeah.
encourage checking it out. It's very cheap for something like us,
Hmm.
people like us. Like I would go in on a Saturday night and drop $30 um going to like a club and stuff, which like $30 can't even get you into the club here in Toronto.
Yeah.
uh,
Right.
Usually
No,
you have to, I think it's like $40 to get in nowadays. So
I heard that clubbing is on the great decline in Toronto. Like the kids aren't even going out anymore. Maybe we've priced everybody out. I don't know.
well, I mean, I feel like it's a $300 event.
That's it. Yeah.
And it's not that fun for $300, but I will
No.
definitely, it's fun for 30.
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
it's and a 7 a.m. last call, people. 7 a.m. No more 1:30 last calls here. But yeah, is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Well, because maybe we have a few minutes left, I'll talk about one of the most interesting things happening in the ecosystem right now. Because I mentioned earlier that anybody with a dot token can suggest how to spend the treasury or can suggest how to upgrade the network. Anybody with a dot token can vote on those suggestions. And one of the big ideas that we're voting on right now is to change the dot inflation schedule. So dot has been originally was inflating at 10% of the existing supply a year. And a lot of proof of stake networks, of course, have high inflation at the beginning. Last November, we made a change to a fixed inflation, 120 million dot a year. It doesn't really matter, but that didn't really make a dent in changing voter behavior. And so what we've done is we have we have facilitated a few months of private and then public consultation and discussion, and we've put up for vote three new inflation schedules for the dot token to cap the supply of dot. So there will be only, it looks like, 2.1 billion dot ever in existence. We're at 1.6 right now, so half a billion more to go. And the inflation schedule will be stepped. So just like Bitcoin, the inflation or the growth of the network is halved every 4 years. We're going to do a step schedule every 2 years, it looks like. And this is a very interesting vote. We have tens of millions of dot voting power contributing to this discussion right now. And in about 3 weeks, we'll know if the dot holders would like to ultimately cap the supply of dot and change this inflation schedule, or if they want to continue with the status quo. And this has been a really hot and interesting debate in the ecosystem with a lot of big names involved. Um, yeah, and that's all happening right now. So it's very possible in a few weeks we'll determine to cap the total dot supply, which is going to be I think it's really going to change voter behavior and also attitudes toward the network. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, I mean that just means that the scarcity would go up, and a lot of people focus on price, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, basically, we want to make the dot asset, we want to move it over on the spectrum from something that's worth selling. Because right now, so much gets created, and we're giving we're probably overpaying. We are overpaying for staking rewards and whatnot. So we have all this pressure on the network of people who are selling before everyone else sells. And we want to move the token over from an asset worth selling to something that's a little bit more worth holding. And we hope to do that by, yeah, creating this scarcity mindset, but also forcing the people who are building the Polkadot network to align themselves on replacing inflation with revenue. Because right now, there's really no consequence to not building paths of revenue in the Polkadot network because we can always just we can always make new capital. But if we're working under this inflation schedule where inflation is gradually being stepped down, then there is this new pressure to actually align ourselves on creating revenue or reducing expenses, or we face the consequences of having reduced income. So the way we presented these models is hard pressure, medium pressure, or soft pressure. Basically, how much pressure it puts on holders to get their act together and make the network profitable rather than just technologically awesome. We actually need to put it to super good use for the world in order to sustain ourselves without inflation.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, to be honest, I've been not involved in the Polkadot ecosystem that much, other than holding the coins, but I've always sort of looked at it from afar, and I think it's time I get more involved.
Absolutely. I mean, by holding the token, you're contributing a lot, but of course, your attention can go a long way in Polkadot. And like I've said a few times, Polkadot is fertile ground for people who want to contribute. It's a pretty resistant to extractors. Extractors get hurt pretty bad if they try to take money from the treasury with a shitty idea or an obvious grift. But if you're a contributor, there are lots of opportunities to be rewarded for adding value to the network.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. But yeah, we're about out of time here, so I'll end it here. Thank you so much, Jay. You've been a very talkative host. I have sometimes have hosts that are just they give one word answers, and you'll
Oh,
have
that's
10
tough.
questions. You have 10 questions for them, and they'll be done in like 5 minutes. And so you're just
Yeah.
did you watch the baseball game?
Well, I'm happy
But
to contribute, and thanks for the great hosting and the great questions. I'm
yeah,
really happy to be part of the Toronto crypto community.
yes, yes, and I'm glad that you're a part of it as well. So don't forget every Wednesday. Do you mind posting, saying the address, or is that like you have to register for it?
Yeah, no, it's 251 Spadina Avenue, the Chain Safe Labs. We do it every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. But yeah, look out, pops probably in the we'll post something in the Toronto DAO Telegram so people can get hooked up with what we're doing. We'll post a few event links there so people can get on the list.
Yes, and that reminds me, don't forget to follow Toronto DAO on Twitter. I will never call it X. Uh,
Mhm.
and join our Telegram group to get more information on not just this co-working space, but all Toronto events.
Sweet. Thanks a lot, Matthew.
Take care, everyone. Have a good weekend.